Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast Signing Day Recruiting Capsules. We are on five-star defensive back Devin Sanchez, a corner out of Houston, Texas, North Shore High School. Arguably the best player in this class for Ohio State, certainly one of the top few. A big-time Buckeye guy throughout the process, committed early, stuck with the Buckeyes, didn't cause any drama. Not a whole bunch of visits elsewhere and wavering and waffling. Really one of the most solid guys in the class, despite growing up in Texas. And despite, again, every other school in the country really trying to get him off that early Ohio State commitment. So this was a guy who I think everyone needs to look back on pretty fondly in terms of the out-of-state five-star kid who didn't really drag things out on the Buckeyes, didn't hold anyone hostage at the end of the process. It was a pretty clean recruitment, and Sanchez was a big recruiter for Ohio State, and now he's officially signed. He'll be up here early. And is this a guy who, first, Kevin, I don't want to say the Jeremiah Smith of the defense. That's setting the bar too high. But is this a guy who can come in and play early?
I think it is, and you look at where Ohio State's cornerback room is going to be, and they're talented guys. I mean, Jermaine Matthews, Calvin Simpson-Hunt. You've got Bryce West. I mean, you've got some guys that are going to be in the room, but Devin Sanchez is kind of what you want your cornerback to be, over 6 feet tall. I mean, he's rangy. He's got great ball skills. I mean, he just really is a student of the game. I mean, he's certainly going to be in the mix. Now, will he be the starter week one? I believe that's against Texas next year. I'm not willing to get that far out ahead. We don't know what portal will look like, things like that. I mean, sometimes portal can move you up because guys who are ahead of you on the depth chart could, if they leave, that you move up. Sometimes, you go and you get somebody who's a starter at that position. Could that slow you down? I don't know Devin Sanchez is really concerned about any of that. He's going to go out there and he's going to compete at the highest level that, the only level that he knows. And if he is a starter, that's great. But I guarantee you, even if he's not necessarily a day one starter, he will see starter reps by the end of his freshman season, if not sooner.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard, if not impossible, I think, to keep him off the field next year. We'll see what Davis Igbinosun does in terms of the NFL, or if he returns. They've got a bunch of young guys I know who have kind of waited their turn, who I know are looking to have their breakout seasons next year. But I just think he's going to be in that Jeff Okudah type of, range as far as someone who you really just can't keep off the field, even as a true freshman. Just a really elite player, elite athlete, and he's an elite competitor. He's an elite worker. And those are a lot of the traits that we do see in the early enrollees and guys who play as true freshmen over the years. It's not just about your potential and your athleticism. It's about your football smarts and about your work ethic. And I think he's got all of those things that would translate to playing a lot as a true freshman. Let's get to the tape. I mean, this is kind of like the build a corner workshop here. Build a bear workshop, build a corner workshop. Just everything you'd ever want in a corner. 6'1", 6'2", elite instincts, long, athletic, physical, competitive, hardworking. Just an absolute, really prototype corner prospect. And you see him, he can play press man. He can kind of play off a little bit as he does there. He can read the quarterback. You can put him in zone. He's got instincts. He's got some tackling ability. He's a great open field tackler. He's a physical kid. So this is a guy who can play and fit in any defense, but I do think he's at his best up in the face of the receiver at the line of scrimmage, because he can use that size, that physicality, and that length to disrupt the passing game. And I think one of the interesting things about him that makes him even a notch above just that special label is he doesn't drop a lot of interceptions. I've watched him play. I watched him in the camp circuit. I've watched him in some pretty high level settings. And he is a guy who, when he gets his hands on the ball, he's going to catch it. And then not only that, it's going to turn into like a punt return at that point. He's a guy who's very capable of making electric plays with the ball in his hands after he makes the interception. So when you combine all these things, it just really is a prototype cornerback prospect.
Yeah, he really is. And, there's always been the joke about defensive players would be offensive players if they had better hands. I mean, Devin Sanchez has got tremendous hands, so that's not necessarily going to be a concern there. We've seen through the years, Ohio State, some members of the secondary who would like to have a player four back in terms of interceptions that they should have hauled in that they didn't. But, he really checks off all the boxes. As you said, not to steal your thunder, I mean, he is just your prototypical type of player. And, you should be so blessed to get a guy like that, in your system. And Ohio State certainly has been able to recruit very well in the secondary. But, Devin Sanchez, there's a reason he's a top 10 national type of player. There's a reason why a lot of services have him as the number 1 or number 2 cornerback in the nation. And it isn't by accident.
He's really going to push that room. Again, like I said, we both hit on previously, like there are lots of guys who are hoping to make 2025 their breakout seasons, but they're going to need to fend him off. He's going to come in with a bit of an attitude, with a bit of an edge and competitive fire to him. He's not going to come in and be just content to sit in the background and be 5th on the depth chart and just watch and learn. He is going to want to come in and play, and he's going to push the competition in that room. In that sense, maybe that's where the Jeremiah Smith comparisons come in. Like, I don't think it's really fair to do the comparison in the realm of, like, if you're going to call him the Jeremiah Smith of the defense, you're essentially going to say he needs to be like a Thorpe finalist as a true freshman. I'm not going to put that on him, but in terms of what Jeremiah did early at Ohio State, which is come in and push the competition in the receiver room and ultimately, win a starting job, that is a similar goal to what Devin Sanchez has in mind. And he's got the capabilities to really push some of these guys who haven't made their mark yet. So the guys who may think that, well, Denzel Burke's gone and Jordan Hancock's gone, and if Davis Sigmanosin goes, Davis Sigmanosin's gone. This is my turn now. I just have to show up and I'll be in the starting lineup this year. Let's not so fast, my friend. Devin's coming. So huge pickup. Again, we're in the era of NIL. We're in the era of commitments really not meaning a whole lot. And I think this is kind of a unicorn situation here in terms of getting a top 5 or 10 player in the entire country, getting him committed early, having basically drama-free for that entire duration of his commitment. No last-minute visits elsewhere. No last-minute, hey, can I get some more NIL money? No last-minute anything. Just solid with the Buckeyes throughout the process. It may be a while before we see another guy like this.
Yeah. I think you'll have a couple of them here and there nationally, but I don't think that a lot of places are necessarily going to get multiple guys in like a year that are going to be just this, set it and forget it. We've got your commitment. We know everything's there. I mean, and Devin Sanchez and his family were regulars coming up for a lot of Ohio State games. And as we know, it was not the most compelling home schedule for Ohio State in the regular season, but there was recruiting work to be done, and part of Devin Sanchez doing work is getting up here and getting to know the guys and getting to know the coaches and everything else. It's more than just coming up here for pizza and little chocolate and peanut butter Buckeyes. I mean, there's more work to it than that. But to your earlier point, no, you're not going to be able to just show up. It's like, I put 2 years in the program. This is my position just because I've waited turns. No, that's not going to be that's not how it should work. And that's not how it's going to work. And, with him being an early enrollee, obviously he's going to have the benefit of spring football and everything else. If Ohio State makes a deeper run into the playoffs, he certainly, once he's enrolled, he can start working out with the team at that point too. I mean, you may not know up from down and left from right in terms of how Ohio State practices. They have their whole first spring practice is basically teaching you how to practice. But it is a huge get for Ohio State, and obviously there will be the talks of losing a couple defensive ends. There will be the talk of any other player that may get away from Ohio State that was committed or whatever, but we don't talk about the guys that commit early, stand by their commitment, and you don't have to put a lot of energy into keeping them committed. So, Devin Sanchez is somebody that I think once everybody kind of gets past the sting of the Michigan loss, once everybody kind of gets past the confusion that is signing day, I think people need to sit there and really, I think, be thankful to have a player like Devin Sanchez.
Yeah, these are the guys that can really, quite frankly, win you national championships. These are the types of lockdown, number one, high level, major NFL potential type of players that you need if you want to win a national championship. I think they've got a few of those in this class. And I think that's going to be obviously these guys are going to have to pan out. They're going to have to do the work, but it's going to be the type of group I think that can be the foundation of a national championship team if all the other ingredients are met. And so this is a guy everyone should be incredibly excited about. In a way, they're not going to be as local. Obviously, not being from Ohio, being down in Houston, but in a way, this family kind of reminds me of like Paris Johnson and his mom, and just they're going to be ambassadors for the program to other parents, to other recruits. They've already started that during the recruiting process, but they're going to be doing this obviously while Devin's on campus too, and they're going to be kind of a leadership group within the OSU parents. And so this, again, almost a unicorn recruitment in today's landscape between the talent and the drama-free recruitment, and then you get the added bonus of kind of the parents being super involved in terms of helping the program recruiting and making other parents and recruits feel comfortable and all that other stuff. You're not going to see a lot of these very often. And I just don't know how many of these you're actually going to see at Ohio State over the next 5 or 6 years in terms of an out-of-state 5-star kid where you get them early and that's it. And then it's just like autopilot. So everyone should appreciate this one. We've enjoyed covering him. We'll continue to enjoy covering him. Great kid as well. So we'll be looking forward. He'll be one of the guys we are keeping a very close eye on this spring when the Buckeyes break for spring practice. And again, should be right at the top of the list, I think, of guys who can contribute early from this 2025 Ohio State recruiting class. So that is it for this one. We got them all day, folks. Big day for the Buckeyes, signing another very highly regarded recruiting class. We will have recruiting capsules like this throughout the day on every prospect who signs with the Buckeyes. You can check those out at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle, or you can download them in podcast form wherever, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And please check out our website, BuckeyeHuddle.com, where you can sign up for $4.99 for the first month, which will get you all the way through that first round playoff game. And if all falls well, the second round playoff game, if they're able to do that as well. So this is a great time to sign up for this $4.99 for your first month at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Thanks again for watching and listening. We will talk to you again soon.